The ratings have not been great so far in the NBA Finals. It has nothing to do with politics or that people don't like the NBA. The NBA ratings for the playoffs were outstanding until June hit. And people who have been cooped up in their house once their kids got out of school have gotten on planes, trains, and in automobiles and gone on vacation. And they're not at home to watch the finals. How do I know this? Because the playoff ratings were great the last month and a half when school was in. But try to buy an airline ticket right now. They're double what they normally are. Try to book a hotel room in a resort destination, 2 to 3 times as high as normal. Is that Americans were cooped up and had to cancel vacation plans for the last 2 years. And now, June, their kids are out of school. People decided, love basketball, but we will watch it from a hotel, which doesn't count in television ratings. So too often in our business, conservatives and liberals want to validate their political affiliations and opinions, and they link sports stories and ratings to them. I do not. The ratings for the finals are down simply because people, for the first time in 2 years, can go anywhere. Asia, Europe. I'm going on 2 European vacations this year, and I don't consider myself some lavish global traveler. But my wife said, we've been locked up for 2 years. Let's go. We're going to the Caribbean in 2 weeks. So we're not huge travelers abroad. We're going to go on 3 vacations in 3 months. So what about people who are big travelers who have been cooped up? A lot of those are sports fans, and that explains why the NBA ratings are down. The other thing to think about is the NBA has got to get its schedule right. The draft is a big deal in the NFL. It used to be a big deal in the NBA. Now it's not. It's not. Because the players coming out are 19 years old. They go to bad teams. They're not close to ready to making an impact like a Duncan or a Patrick Ewing. So unless there's a Zion, maybe a John Morant draft, when you have 2 stars and a LaMelo Ball, nobody cares. After the second pick, nobody cares. The NFL draft, we watch it 7 rounds, and we'd watch it if it went 14. So don't worry about when the draft lands. Also, NBA free agency. It's been surpassed by NFL free agency. There's more players, more movement. Don't worry about that either. Just get the season wrapped up by June 1st. So when parents are about ready to go on vacation, just before they get on the plane, the train, and the car, the season ends. What you're seeing with these ratings is there is a timeline in the summer. People will watch, and then people will go on vacation even if they like your sport. Remember, August, preseason games in the NFL. We watch Thursdays. We watch Mondays. We watch Sundays. We watch Saturdays. We don't watch early August. We're on vacation. NBA, Christmas Day to June 1st. Wrap it up. Preseason, regular season, postseason, wrap it up. The draft, though, nobody cares. Free agency, unless you're an NBA diehard, nobody cares. You know, I didn't grow up, many of you know, in Connecticut, but I worked there for 10 to 11 years. And one of the advantages of living in the Northeast is the rabid tribal fan support. And I really learned what it was like to love the Yankees and the Red Sox. It made me like and appreciate baseball and its history more. Also in that 10 to 11 year period, I watched every Patriot preseason game and regular season game. And what I really came to appreciate about New England was not only Brady and Belichick, but the intelligence of their entire operation. And as I watched the finals between the Warriors and the Celtics, I think there's something that's really, really important, and it's getting more important in sports. And that is not IQ, which is always hard to judge. There are really smart players who don't always play smart basketball or football. It's EQ. EQ is emotional quotient. And the reason I think it's increasingly important, and I think the Celtics and the Warriors are really good at this, is because players now, they're still very young and are making more than they've ever made. How do they handle that? Because of social media, they're now being criticized publicly more than they've ever been criticized. How do they handle that? I think EQ going forward is going to be increasingly important. And when you look at the great culture setters of my lifetime in sports, John Elway, Steph Curry, Derek Jeter, Tom Brady, it's not their talent that sets the culture. It's their personality. Often they come from very strong family backgrounds. They're formidable EQ. And when I watch the Celtics and when I watch the Warriors, these are not only really smart teams, but the front offices, the ownership, the coaching, they're good in chaos. Boston won 2 7-game sevens. Golden State, they were the worst record in the NBA 2 years ago. They've bridged being a little too young with having players past their prime. Tough, difficult series here in the playoffs. I think as I look at sports going forward, as players are more highly compensated, more publicly criticized, how they handle both will become really important. And that's why I think when I look at the Warriors and I look at the Dodgers and I look at the Rams in Southern California, yeah, these are smart teams, but they're really good in crisis. They're really good in chaos. They keep their business private. They handle pressure well. And a lot of our greatest players don't. And I just think it's something I think about all the time is the players in the NBA are younger than ever, but more highly compensated and more publicly criticized. That is a lot. I know I got 6 kids between my 2 biological and my 4 step. That is a lot to dump on young people, and how they handle the money, the criticism, the public pressure, the chaos will sort of determine championships over the next few years. So far, I've been very impressed with Patrick Mahomes, very impressed with Justin Herbert or Joe Burrow, how they've handled it publicly. Very impressed with John Morant, Jason Tatum. Tons of pressure, tribal fan bases, incredibly public people, and they handle it really, really well. In fact, I don't even need to give you names. I'm often highly disappointed with older NBA players and how they struggle with self-awareness, how they struggle aging, how they struggle with new team environments. Russell Westbrook. That's disappointing. I think the younger players around sports are handling it much better than I would have handled it at 23 or 24 years old. But I think when you watch the Warriors, when you watch the Celtics, I mean, even Draymond Green, people think he's out of control. I think he's completely manipulating the Celtics. I think he manipulates the officials. I think he's completely, absolutely in control. I mean, listen, he's a very emotional player. But if you don't understand the intelligence of Draymond and how he can work a game, you don't get basketball. He is a winning player. He's completely discombobulated the Celtics in the last game. Like, if you're looking at Draymond Green and you don't think he knows what he's doing, you don't understand EQ. You don't understand basketball. I mean, watch the Jaylen Brown situation when they roll on the floor. It's so clever. Draymond just moves his legs on top of Jaylen Brown enough to be really annoying. He just subtly moved them over. Knowing Jaylen would push them off, he then pushes Jaylen back as if in self-defense. Jaylen gets up, he grabs his shorts. These are all very clever tactics to get into Jaylen Brown's head. Many the officials don't see. All of them not serious enough to grant a technical. I think what you're looking at with these two teams is highly functional coaching staffs, highly functional rosters. And despite the ratings, I'm completely emotionally all in on this series. I think it's fascinating.